What do a Wiltshire field and the most famous UFO crash site in the world have in common? No, it's not the start of a joke. In 2004, a New Mexico man named Robert Ridge found a rock 11 miles from the famed Roswell site. The rock was unique because it had a design bearing the same pattern as a crop circle that appeared in 1996 in Wiltshire, England, and because it allegedly had unusual magnetic properties. Join myself and Neil here on Aliens Explored as we try not to get stuck between this rock and a hard place, debating this intriguing mystery.
Aliens Explored is a weekly podcast exploring famous and obscure cases of UFO sightings, alien abductions and other strange events from both a believing and a sceptical perspective whilst keeping an open mind. I'm Stu Jackson, a professional actor and amateur ufologist with a particular interest in the crop circle phenomenon. I'll be debating that otherworldly visitations are real. The truth is out there.
And I'm Neil Kelly. I'm a professional actor as well and used to work for the military as an intelligence analyst. I'll be arguing from a more doubtful point of view. I mean, it's all a bit far-fetched, isn't it? Hello listeners and welcome back to another episode of Aliens Explored, your weekly podcast looking at all things UFO, UAP, extraterrestrial related. I'm one of your hosts, Neil Kelly.
And I'm your other host, Stu Jackson. How is it going, Neil?
It's going very well, thank you. You're looking particularly intense at the moment. You've got that look in your eye. Yeah.
Is it because we're going to be talking about crop related, crop circle related?
It could be, yeah.
Intense. I don't think I've been called that.
Yeah, you looked a little bit. Did you see, as I was speaking, you had that look in your eye, and I'm thinking, what have I done?
I was looking into camera rather than looking at you, which is slightly below the camera. Maybe that was the difference. Like if I look into the camera,
yeah.
Because I'm just terrified. All our viewers on YouTube.
So we're just discovering this now. This thing about how cameras work.
Yeah. What's our job again?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Speaking of which, have you been up to much of late?
Not a great deal. I did a commercial for an apprenticeship scheme.
Right.
About a week ago or so. I'm just waiting to hear back from another one about a skincare product.
Right.
So
I'm guessing in the apprenticeship scheme one, I'm going to make a wild guess here and say you're perhaps not an apprentice.
Yeah, because as our listeners and viewers, especially our viewers, will know, I'm kind of nudging the upper end of youth now. So no, I was playing more.
I think for the pair of us, that's a statement that, oh my goodness, that's definitely pushing the upper end of reality.
Well, that's how Dame Edna Everage phrased it. I've just plagiarised her, nudging the upper end of youth.
Nudging the upper end of youth, I like it.
Yeah, no, I was playing a sort of bloke looking like I know what I'm talking about in a laboratory and a bloke looking like I know what I'm talking about in a board meeting. There was no sound. Yeah, there's going to be voiceover, so...
Were you holding a test tube and looking at it in the laboratory?
No, I was looking at this machine with this guy who was from the company, he wasn't an actor. We kind of... Actually, we were trying to work out what it was, but it made us look really sort of like intense, like we're actually look like we're focused on what this machine is telling us, when actually we don't know what the machine was. We think it was some kind of 3D printer, but we don't know.
Okay. Was it large glass sides and a plate on the bottom?
No, it wasn't. It was like a track, an oval track, but it looked like it had these magazines and feeders for plastics, and so I don't know what it was. It looked like I'm saying yes. And if we alter the parameters here by according to my calculations, no, what I'm saying is what do you think this button does?
You could have said, if we reverse the polarity of the neutron flow.
I could have said that, but it would have looked the same.
Yeah. All our Whovian listeners have just punched the air.
I was more sort of adept at that in the boardroom scenario, saying, well, this is an ideal window of opportunity to leverage our unique business brand portfolio and incentivise our stakeholders in a total quality environment 24/7 with a 365-degree view going forward. You see that kind of thing. It looks very yes. And actually, it's the reaction of the person you're saying that to. They just look at you like, "What the hell? What are you saying to me?"
Suitably bored in the boardroom.
Yes. Yeah. How about yourself? What have you been up to?
Not a lot.
Oh, that's
anyway.
Nice to know.
That was a conversation killer. No, I've been relaxing. I've been trying to recover my back as much as possible, resting. Oh no, I'm saying that I did have 4 days away working. That was really intense. That was last week. I realised how long it had been since I actually last spoke to you. Yeah, that was on my with my a company I work with quite a lot. Lots of fun that was. Yeah, but keeping busy but not too busy, and
that's what we like, isn't it? A bit busy, not too busy. Not the kind of work that we feel like we need a holiday from. Or a vacation from for American listeners.
I'd quite like to have a holiday, I think.
I do every now and then. I mean, certainly when my agent puts me up for something and says, would you be able to go to Portugal for a week to film this, and it's $15,000 buyout, I'm like, yeah, I can manage that. I can move a few things around in my diary to accommodate that.
Yeah, but the days on set are so long, you don't actually get to see any of Portugal. It's just, it might as well be Birmingham. It's hotel set, hotel set, hotel set.
And
you flights in between.
Yeah, and you've got to stay out the sun because of continuity. They say, well, we're actually shooting this bit, and you've got a suntan in this in this shot, and then later on, and then later on, you're going to be really pale.
Yeah, that's it. Well, speaking of staying out of the sun, our subject today is something that was found in the desert in Mexico.
On a sunny day.
Really reaching segue there.
It was a bit, It was a sunny day though when this object was found, and of course today we're talking about the Roswell rock, not a wrestler but an actual rock.
I like it, the Roswell rock. Yes, so found. Not far off the date we're recording, a week ago today as we're recording, but back in 2004. So 19 years and 1 week ago. Robert Ridge. Guy is out tracking some deer in the New Mexico deserts, about 11 miles away from Roswell. I mean, do we need to explain Roswell to our listeners, do you think? The relevance?
Do we? It could be a long story, couldn't it? Let's start at the beginning. So, I mean, we I think most of our listeners will be familiar with the story that back in 1947, was it? A supposed UFO crashed. And so how far
about Roswell?
So how far from the site of the alleged crash was this rock found? It obviously wasn't in a military exclusion zone. It wasn't.
No. It was 11 miles. So the military exclusion zone is not where the UFO allegedly crashed in Roswell. The exclusion zone is Area 51, otherwise known as Nellis Air Force Base, which is some distance away. But that's allegedly where the UFO got taken, and the bodies.
And all traces of the crash. So you can go to that site and you won't see anything.
Well,
Apart from
the crash site, people do go there and look for stuff.
Yeah.
But this was 11 miles away.
This 11 miles away, so it's not likely that it was something that was thrown clear when a UFO crashed. It's something completely different. Now, what we're talking about here is a rock. It's not much bigger than a pebble. It will fit in the palm of your hand, roughly triangular shaped, obviously rounded edges, and with this raised bit on one side that's got a very precise design on it. I mean, it's very precise. I mean, it looks like it's been cut with a laser.
Well, you say cut, but it's raised from the rock, so it's not. It's not indented in.
Well, there's a raised bit of the rock where it is cut into it, isn't it? So
that's certainly how it appears. Yes.
I mean, at first they thought it was something that had been stuck onto the rock, but after extensive examinations, they saw that it was all just one piece, despite what it looked like. And it had an absolutely very precise design. The rock's magnetic as well, isn't it?
It has some unusual magnetic properties, so I'm led to believe. Now, whether that just means it's magnetic, I'm not sure. I mean, it's an unusual colour for a magnetic rock. Some rocks are magnetic. We know this. They contain iron. A lot of them, but this is like a really sort of ruddy brown colour.
But is it magnetic in the sense, I mean, if something contains iron, it doesn't mean you can use it as a magnet, it means you can pick it up with a magnet. But is it actually magnetic in that you could pick other things up, you could pick up your paper clips with it, because it's a magnet?
I'm unsure as to how strong the magnetic field is from it, so whether or not it's strong enough to actually pick things up.
Okay.
I wouldn't like to say. But they have demonstrated the magnetic properties by bringing the polar opposite end of another magnet towards it, and you see the rock start to spin around.
Okay.
As you bring the magnet closer.
So it does have
interestingly,
poles.
It has at least a pole. There are such a thing in the world of magnets called monopoles, which means it only has one side, like it's either positive or negative. They're quite rare, monopoles. I'm not saying that's what this rock is, but I'm also not saying it's like a normal magnet.
You live and learn, don't you? I've never heard of monopole. I thought a necessary property of a magnet was that it had a north and south pole, and that if you put north to north, it will repel. If you put north to south, it will attract. Or south to south, it will repel.
Standard magnet. Yeah,
standard magnet.
Yeah, but monopoles do exist.
Okay.
Yeah, they're quite rare.
And now we're getting to the part that's going to get you excited. The design on this rock matches a design of a crop circle that was found in southern England a couple of years previously, I understand.
More than just a couple of years previously. So, 5,000 miles away in Wiltshire, just south of Swindon, my spiritual home. I lived in Swindon for 15 years, as you know, Neil.
You're living the life, aren't you?
That's why I mentioned it.
Living the dream.
I like Swindon. It gets a lot of knocking in the media, but I like it. Anyway, so just south of there, a place called Liddington Castle, which is an Iron Age fort in the Wiltshire countryside. 2nd of August 1996, so some 8 years prior. This exact same design appeared in a crop field, wheat. I can tell you the field was wheat. Now, this design, as much as I've got a long history with crop circles. This was before I got into crop circles, so I can say absolutely categorically I never visited that one.
Have you seen something similar? Because it looks like the kind of thing you often see with the more elaborate crop circles. I mean, it's two orbs, isn't it? Two circles and two crescents. I mean, they it's not a mirror image. It wouldn't.
You've got two circular patterns side by side touching in the middle, so it's not quite a Venn diagram, but there is what appears to be a third circle intersecting the two of them, so almost like a Venn diagram with three circles. But yeah, there is a really strong moon and sun motif in it as well that is mirrored through both sides, through both of the two prominent circles in it. Very much of a... puts me in mind of yin yang.
Okay.
Even though it is mirrored. Well, I suppose yin yang
they're not mirrored, but
separate
from each other. They're not actually intertwined.
Yeah. But the difference here is if you were to put a line down the middle, you would... No, it wouldn't be mirrored. It would be... Well, anyway. It's the same pattern on both sides. That's what I'm saying.
So now Linda Moulton Howe, who we talked about a little while ago, who I think has been described as a conspiracy theorist, she's suggesting that both the design of both the crop circle and the Roswell rock suggest a date, that it's some confluence of the sun and moon. It's just a date. Someone's made a date with us.
There is something in what she says. So if... And we're going to sort of step out and start really into the realms of speculation here. Probably even further than I would normally like to go. But
okay.
If an extraterrestrial race was to communicate with us and they wanted to communicate a concept of time or a particular... amount of time, hours, minutes, days, months, it's all an invention. It's all a human invention. However, movement of the sun, movement of the moon, seeing these astral bodies on a regular repeating rotation, that's how one extraterrestrial race would communicate with another race the concept of time, because these things are observable and one would assume they are physics, like consistent. They'd have consistent... what words? They'd be consistent throughout the universe, or certainly throughout the galaxy, because physics is a relative constant.
Okay, so, I mean, do you think maybe these ETs, they hadn't been here for about 1,000 years, didn't realise how much time had passed, and thought, well, yeah, we're going to go and see the Mayans, aren't we? So they'll understand this shit. If we drop this rock somewhere, they'll pick it up and say, something's going to happen next Tuesday. Because they're all sort of mapped out. But, I mean, our confluences, arrangements of the sun and moon, are they... generally repeating on a short cycle, or do you get these things that happen over much, much longer periods of time?
Well, it depends how you would look at them. It's been theorised that this particular design represents a certain amount of time. So I'm going to say, rather than a date, like Linda Moulton Howe has suggested, a certain amount of time. Now, that time, we've never, or to my knowledge, nobody has ever successfully and provenly calculated what this period of time might be. It might be a year, it might be a month, it might be 500 days. It's hard to say. Might be 100 years. It's, it varies.
It's not as simple as, there's two suns, that's 2 years, because that's two of our orbits, and 2 moons plus 2 months. There you go.
But if you were to take, if you were to work out, okay, they're talking about 100 days, and you take 100 days from the day of the creation of the crop circle, then you've got a date. of something.
How much have you calculated
I don't buy
how
into
many?
this dates thing. I haven't calculated anything.
That would be worth looking at. I mean, but this guy, what was his name again? He was
the guy who discovered it, Robert Ridge.
Yeah. Robert Ridge. I mean, he discovered it purely by chance in very unlikely circumstances, didn't he? I mean, he just found it in the desert. And it was half buried in the sand. It was just pure chance that he thought, that looks a bit different. I'll pick it up.
Anyone and as you rightly say, it's small. It's only 1.5 inches thick and about 2 inches wide. As you rightly say, it fits in the palm of your hand. Yeah. It's incredible that he spotted it. It is quite an unusual colour. It's quite a standout colour. It's a really dark, sort of ruddy brown colour. It looked to me, when I first saw it, I thought, it's been painted. But it's not. That's its natural colouring. And it's quite an unusual colouring. So that would have helped. But it's such a small thing. It is incredible that he found it.
Isn't iron ore that colour? That sort of brown colour?
I would have to look that up.
But in either way, it seems to be made
This isn't iron ore. It might have high content of iron, which could go some way to explaining its magnetic properties, of course.
But it's not. It doesn't fit with the geology of the area. It's
not that I know of.
It's a rock that's come from somewhere else.
Would appear so.
And someone just found it by chance.
Yes.
It's a mystery, isn't it? It's a mystery.
It really is. And as you mentioned earlier, so they've done a lot of tests on this. They've put it in a CAT scan, which builds up a 3D model of the thing inside and out. That's when they discovered it's not painted at all because it doesn't have the veneer that you would see with a painted object. There is no magnet inside. That is something they were actively looking for. And that's also when they discovered that this isn't a thing that's had a design stuck on top of it. It is a single piece. So, yeah, it is part of the same thing. They then went and took it and shoved it under a microscope. And this is where it really gets interesting. So they did a comparison at the microscopic level, at certainly a high magnification level, between the Roswell rock and a replica, a man-made replica that they created using sandblasting to basically leave the design out. They recreated it, put the two side by side. There's no comparison. The man-made one is so roughly hewn under extreme magnification, yet the Roswell rock remains absolutely pristine, clear and sharp. We're talking, and it's a phrase we use a lot on this show, laser precision. We used it a lot when we were talking about Puma Punku.
Yes.
But, yeah, it's laser precision again.
So we can't understand how it was made, and it probably didn't occur naturally. And
I think we can rule out natural.
Yeah.
Or possibly not. One of the big things I bang on about incessantly with crop circles is, it's a weird thing for me to say on Aliens Explored, but there is no recognised correlation between extraterrestrials and crop circles.
Although many people do believe there is.
And a lot of debunkers go straight down that route. It's like, well, they're all man-made. Otherwise, you're a lunatic for thinking they're made by aliens. Well, no, there are other possibilities out there. So, if there are other possibilities for creating crop circles, then there are other possibilities for the Roswell rock.
Yeah. Has a at the risk of putting someone in danger, has it been assigned a value? Has it come up for auction or anything like that?
No, I believe Robert still has it.
Mm.
I can't imagine it'd be worth that much because so many people have decried the Roswell. Right? It's just something that some hippie sort of carved out and then chucked away. Some people have suggested it was planted deliberately to be found, but in both cases, the chances of someone finding it is so astronomical.
Is it though? I mean, it wasn't just on a fairly recognised hunter's trail or anything like that. It wasn't.
No, it was just randomly in the desert.
Yeah, randomly in the desert, but actually people come this way all the time. Hunting, because the deer come this way and hunters will follow them and anything like that.
I mean, potentially, I've not heard of it being a sort of well-trodden path or anything like that. And quite often they just build roads in such locations where this was off the beaten track. But even if it's a case, you do get sort of deer migrating through there quite regular. Even then, the chances of seeing this thing half buried in the sand, because you'd be looking at the deer, not looking at the ground, not looking at rocks that are just littered about all over the place anyway.
And if it was left to be found, you also have to speculate that it was left to be found by this specific person. I mean, he is just a local guy, isn't he? Just a hunter who was out hunting deer.
Don't know if he's a hunter by trade. I know he was tracking deer. I don't know if that was for the purposes of hunting, so I wouldn't like to...
It usually is.
Usually, yes, but some people's idea of shooting animals is to use a camera.
Yeah.
And those are the people I like. Don't like people killing animals unless it's for food.
Well, I mean... Hunting is a big thing in America, isn't it? People do hunt for food.
It's a culturally different way of thinking. I appreciate and I recognise that, but yeah. But not everybody
it's
does
not something,
hunt, even in America.
Yeah, it's not something you can really do in Britain because there isn't the land. There aren't herds of wild animals moving around on open ground.
And we're not all packing AK-47s, you know.
Well, even a proper high velocity rifle. There aren't many areas that are big enough to fire one of those safely.
No.
And know that you're not going to kill someone living in a suburb a couple of miles, a mile or so away. We just don't have the space for firing off those kinds of weapons.
My key point here is I wouldn't want to say for certain that Robert Ridge was hunting because I don't know.
No, okay.
And there might be other reasons he was tracking deer.
He was tracking deer for whatever. Yeah,
I don't want to cast aspersions or motivations.
Yeah, he might be a zoologist measuring, their habits. Who knows?
Yeah.
No intention of killing them. But he found this rock. Yeah. And
bizarrely.
And I suppose the fact that it was found near Roswell, there's that makes that immediate association, doesn't it? Could it be? It's all tied into the conspiracy. I don't know.
Yes.
I say I'm at a loss. I've seen pictures of the rock. I really have no explanation for it. For how it got there, how it was made, what it's for, anything, nothing. Can't speculate.
There are some people who do theorise that it was in fact placed there deliberately by extraterrestrials to be found at that moment, and that in itself is sending humanity a message that we need to decode.
Sending humanity a message that we don't understand. It's just going to be found by some guy who says, "Oh, what a cool rock! I'll have that."
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting case. I don't, again, really strange for aliens expert, and perhaps like for our listeners, it might be strange hearing me say this, but I don't automatically ascribe the extraterrestrial to this. It's not impossible for us to manufacture something like that, but it would take some pretty heavy-duty equipment. But the fact that the exact same design was like 5,000 miles away 8 years earlier. It's possible, of course, they both appeared at the same time. And who knows what other crop circles there are randomly on rocks in deserts, because you'd never find them. It just so happens that somebody found one.
Yeah.
There might be thousands of them.
Could be, yeah. Perhaps we need to mount an expedition.
If anybody would like to fund, Neil and I going into the desert looking for rocks with designs on them, then join our Patreon.
That's the quickest way. That'll get it sorted.
Donations are always welcome. But it's a fascinating. It's a fascinating artifact. I can't think of another word for it. It is an artifact. It could well be extraterrestrial. Could well be.
Yeah, because we don't know, do we? I mean, is there any suggestion that we've never seen this substance before? We've never seen a rock that contains these elements.
We've seen rocks. I'm certain we've seen the elements contained within this rock.
In that combination, whatever it is.
You don't normally... Even iron ore is not magnetic when it comes out the ground.
No.
You can magnetise it, but... Yeah. So yes, it could be a large iron content that's given it its unusual colour.
Could be.
I can get on board with that.
But no one's actually said no. There's nothing like this on this planet. This is from I've never seen a rock made of this. Okay.
No. We've found lots of rocks on planet Earth. It's not. Yeah. It's not. It's not unusual material. It's not a strange element. It's just really bizarre. So go on. Yeah. I'm gonna push you for your final take on this. What do you think it is? Speculate the crap out of it.
I really don't know. I really think, it's not made of a material that's otherworldly. It's got a design on it that we can't translate. Even if it's meant to be translated, it might just be something that's particularly pleasing to a certain eye, a bit like a Kandinsky painting. The fact that it matches that it was found near Roswell and that it matches a crop circle. Who knows? Who really knows? There's no evidence for any. It's just a mystery. And if you say, well, it came, an extraterrestrial being made it. Well, I've got no reason to say they didn't, because I really can't suggest any other explanation. What about you?
Yeah, I'm sort of at a loss. I would jump on that it's man-made and somebody just dropped this thing. If there were others like it, I mean, ever since it was been found and it's been publicised, copies have been made. People have made other designs, other crop circles designs on rocks, and now they're a thing for people to have. But at the time, there was nothing like it. If it was more roughly made, if it was more poorly made, I'd also go down that route. I'd say, somebody's like seen this crop circle design and they've put it on a rock because a lot of people find spiritual meaning in crop circle designs. So I can understand someone doing something like that, but the level of precision with which this is made, this is not a... It's either an industry or it's... I don't know. It's not something that one person would just make as a one-off, just for themselves. It's too precise. It's too well made.
It would have been too much trouble.
Yeah.
For one person.
Yeah, ultimately.
Yeah.
And there'd be records of it because the equipment that would be required to make something like that, there'd be records. Somebody would have come forward and said, well, actually, yeah, I made that and I lost it in the desert one night after visiting Roswell.
Yeah.
I could get on board with that, but I'd accept that readily as an answer. But the lack of any explanation to it, it's baffling me. It really is baffling me.
Yeah, there's no prosaic explanation for it.
No.
We can't work out how it was made.
Well, perhaps our listeners might be able to shed some insight onto this. I've no doubt, listener, that you've got plenty of opinions on the subject, and you know what? We want to hear those opinions.
We do want to hear those opinions.
So you can email us, aliensexplored@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube by searching Aliens Explored. And if you give us a cheeky like and subscribe over at YouTube as well, we'd really appreciate that. That helps us immensely. And of course, if you are one of our Patreon subscribers, then you get exclusive access to our Discord server where you can spread your opinion on this to your heart's content. Join us next time, though, when we'll be going from Roswell and Wiltshire over to Scotland. And we'll be discussing the 1992 abduction of 2 men. So don't miss that one.
I look forward to that.
In the meantime. Absolutely. So, in the meantime, keep watching out for rocks with strange designs in the desert and wherever you are. And of course, don't just look down, keep watching the skies as well. Take care for now.
Catch you next time. Bye bye.